What's going on, everybody? It's your girl Bird from Bird in the Tree podcast.
Yes, indeedy, it's your boy Treasy. I got my orange juice because it's so fresh and squeezy.
Right.
What's up, Bert?
In other news, I'm sipping on the ginger ale. Bird's a little under the weather right now, but we're gonna make
So you're not feeling so good?
not today. Not today. I think I ate too much at lunch. I think that's the problem. Like I think my stomach is like rejecting my lunch. But the tuna sandwich was so good. It was like a tuna melt, but it didn't have cheese. I don't really do cheese like that. But it was like the cold tuna, but on like a warm, toasted, buttery white bread. Like, yo, the bowling alley does their thing with them tuna sandwiches. I don't know. And then they put like jalapenos on it. It was great. It was great. But like immediately after I ate it, I was like, yeah, I ate too much. So I just think I'm paying for it.
Ugh, tunas. Oh my
I love a tuna
goodness.
sandwich, but it's homemade.
Nah, I don't know. You know what? I will say this though. When I was a kid, I would go over to my grandparents' house and they would have them little cans of tuna that you would have to, it had a little thing on you had to roll it back.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like a little coffin can. That's what I like to call it, like a little coffin, like somebody in a coffin.
but
And you
that was
rolling it back.
sardines.
Huh?
The sardines was like
Oh
that.
yeah, you're right. It was a sardines
Not the
one.
tuna. Yes,
But
I know because I ate sardines too. I can't eat them as an adult, but as a kid, I used to tell them things up, and they were so oily and just. But they were good. They were good, just like buying the sausages, just like potted meat.
potty meat and crackers.
Okay, the things that I mean, spam was our bologna. So like,
Potty meat and Hey, look, I used to tell folks all the time. I used to tell my little brother because my brother he funny when it comes to eating food and stuff like that. Like he don't like to rewarm stuff and any of that stuff leftovers. It's not gonna happen. None of that stuff. He bougie. But the thing is, I used to tell him, hey, look, when I was a kid, we'll be outside working because back then that's what we did. We worked outside. We weren't always in the house and stuff like that.
never
So
in the
we'd be outside working in the field, in the woods, making forts, whatever. I don't care. And then break time, shoot, we go down there to the little country store. Shout out the Tip store, and hey, look, we grab a orange, new grape, not orange. I'm sorry, a new grape soda, or we'll get a Sunkist soda. Hey, we get some potted meat, crackers, and we sit on the back of that old black Chevy that my pops used to have, and we just eat. And I mean, that was like me going to Chick-fil-A. You know what I'm saying?
Let's try Orange Crush. Okay, y'all was too fancy. How about that 5 cent RC? Them RC
That's
okay.
Hey, those jokers flat. No sooner as you no sooner as you pop the top, them things flat.
Them RC sodas 25 cents out that soda machine. What? And my grandma used to sell the sodas at our house. She used to be like the pseudo candy lady. I don't know how you, but anyway, she used to sell like canned sodas for like 25 cents, but it was all the Winn-Dixie brands. So like you just got orange, grape, strawberry. Like there was no name. It was just orange, grape, or strawberry. Like pick your flavor.
Okay, then that's how y'all used
red
to do
can,
it.
the orange can, or the purple can. That's it.
I feel you. I mean, that reminded me of when we used to go on them church trips to Busch Gardens, and we wanted to eat inside. And it was like, nah, lunchtime, y'all come back out. We got some sandwiches and some soda and a bag of chips up under the bus. Yep. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, it would be this thing that purple drink. That's having that purple drink over there.
You not spending $10 for a drink in the park. We not doing it. We already packed bag lunches.
I cannot wait to get. I say, man, when I get older, I'm gonna have my own money. I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna get all the soda and chips and drinks and everything else I want from out of this theme park.
Yes, that's what I loved about living in Williamsburg because we were like 10, 15 minutes from Busch Gardens. So I would go to Busch Gardens just for the food. So we bought season passes, so we were good with that. But they would have like, especially when they did their well, it's like their wine tasting or whatever. Like that was the best part. You had to pay like I think it was like $15 or something like that for the wristband, but then you go around from each country like tasting wine, and then you get a free glass. That's my type of night. I think we did it two Christmas ago. So the Christmas 2019 Christmas, like it was great. It was cold outside, but after drinking that wine, warming your body up.
Feeling good.
Yeah.
You threw up on the rides?
No, I ain't ride nothing. No. I was just a parent watching, enjoying my wine. I let the kids, y'all go get them. This is not the trip to ride. I only came for the wine. It was like a taste of wine because they had wine and they also had like different food that they don't normally sell.
Yeah,
I think like a taste of something, but they just each country in the had like whatever the little themed dish was for that country, but it's not food that they would normally have all the time or whatever. So like I only went for the food and wine festival. Like I mean, if I want to ride rides, I just went at another time. But like when it's food and wine festival, I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to ride. I'm only going to eat. So don't count me as your +1 to get on the ride because I'm not doing that.
Well, y'all heard it first. Do not take Bird to Busch Gardens where the roller coasters are.
Not doing food wine. If it's not food and wine, I'm down. I will ride everything but the drop zone or the kaleidoscope or anything that looked like that. That's one ride. I was bullied into riding it when I worked at Carowinds. And after I got off, I said, you got me this time, but I promise I won't ride it again.
Hey, speaking of, I've never been to Carowinds. Like I've never been.
So you're not really from North Carolina because that's crazy.
Yeah, really, honestly, for the where I was born and raised, yeah, Busch Gardens was the closest theme park, and then we had Kings Dominion.
Wow.
Because I'm from Gates County, North Carolina, so that's close to like Suffolk, Virginia.
Okay, yeah.
So and then much closer than coming all the way out to Carowinds.
Because you have to go way west to get.
Yeah, exactly. Now where I'm at now, I think it's closer to Carowinds, but I don't know. I mean, when I was a kid, Busch Gardens was like going down to Florida, going to Disney World and stuff like that, just because like we would go to Busch Gardens so much. And as a kid, I mean, the night before. It won't no sleeping.
Yeah.
Me and the fellas, Junior, what I'm saying? Josh, Frankie, Daryl, like we running around the house like, man, we going to Busch Gardens tomorrow. And man, I ain't going to sleep, man. You going to sleep? Nah, man, I'm staying up all night. I mean, but it was fun. We would occasionally go to Kings Dominion, but
a little further because that's in Richmond.
Yeah, so. It wasn't. I don't know. Busch Gardens was just always the thing. Like the place to go to. Like we was just like, and then as we got older, we would go as well. And then we got our season pass. And then now it's been a little minute since I've been to Busch Gardens. I know they got a new ride coming out this year, supposedly. So I'm all about going.
Went to Kings Dominion. Honestly, it was pretty close to Carowinds because Kings Dominion and Carowinds were owned by they used to be owned by the same company, which is Paramount Parks.
Gotcha.
So when I worked at Paramount Carowinds, when that's what it was called, we could get into Kings Dominion free, but with our employee badge, they were sister parks. So if you've been to Kings Dominion, you've kind of really been to Carowinds because Carowinds and Kings Dominion, the difference between them and Busch Gardens is that their water park is inside their park, so you don't have to go out. Whereas Busch Gardens and Water Country, they are two separate parks. So you have to pay separate admission or get like a hopper pass or whatever, but they're two totally different parks. So that's just the biggest difference. It just depends on, what you're trying to do. But honestly, once I worked at Carowinds, it was really hard for me to go to any park and really enjoy myself because I understood what happens behind the scenes. And these people look happy, but they really not. So it was just a different approach. And I worked at Carowinds for like three long years. So it was just, I had a different appreciation. Let's just say that I had a totally different appreciation. But speaking of money, today we're going to talk about college versus a technical school, or a 4-year college versus a technical school, because the term college is kind of, I feel like, interchangeable, because some of your junior colleges are technical schools, but even some of your junior colleges offer some of the same things that a 4-year college. So to make sure we keep it separate. We're talking about a 4-year school versus a trade school.
Right. So yeah. So I mean, when I was in school, it was more so people were like, "Hey, make sure, hey, what college you going to when you graduate high school? What college you going to when you graduate high school? College." And it was never, where I grew up, we never really heard about trade school or technical school. So I really didn't know about it. I mean, college was always kind of like driven in my head. So it was like, okay, I don't know what college I'm going to, but I know I'm going to college when I get out. Now, did I really want to go to college? Yeah. Was it for school? No. That's probably a different topic, but but I mean, trade school was just never in my vocabulary. I mean, to be honest with you, I see now it's talked about a little bit more. I know I've seen not a thing, but a meme on Facebook, and it was kind of giving a breakdown of the different trades that's out there that's like not talked about versus if you go to college and the type of money that you can make if you had a trade. And I mean, it's just a ton of different things. And at the end of the day, I just tell people now when I talk to kids and especially young adults that's graduating from high school and they about to make that next jump. But a lot of people don't really want to go to school. They're tired of school, and I get it. And college is not for everybody. I'm gonna be honest with you. I tell some people, now I'm gonna be straight with you. I tell some people, hey man, if you don't really know what you want to do and you don't mind it, go into the military. And the reason why I say that is because it's 4 years. You're gonna learn a trade, you're gonna learn something, and all right, you do your 4 years, you got the benefits, you get out. Now let's say that you did something like HVAC.
Right. Very lucrative.
When you come out, you can you can work for the company, you can own the company, you can start your own company. You know what I'm saying? It's just so many different avenues when it comes to, stuff like that. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be military. I mean, you can go to an HVAC technical school. And I'm just saying HVAC because, to be honest with you, that's what I did when I was in the military.
Yeah, so
but it wasn't for me.
It's not, right? And that's the biggest thing is there's not a brush stroke. It's not a one size fit all, right? And so I'm kind of in the same boat, as you are. Like normally when we thought of a trade school or whatever, it was for the people who couldn't go to college because they didn't have the grades, right?
Facts.
We always looked at it as okay, I'm going to go to the junior college, get my grades up so that I can go play ball or whatever somewhere else. Like it was almost looked like these are the people who struggle through school, so therefore that's why they go to trade school. And so my perception of trade schools changed drastically when I was stationed at the MEPS in Tennessee. And the reason why they did is because in Knoxville, well, the state of Tennessee in general has what they call the Tennessee Promise. So essentially what it is it's almost kind of like the Hope Scholarship in Georgia, but the difference is for 2 years, you have to maintain a B average, or no, a C average, a 2.0. So you have to maintain a 2.0 in your classes. And then there's a certain amount of community college that you have to, community service, certain amount of hours of community service. And then once you graduate high school, they will pay for you to go to trade school. You get 2 years free to go to a trade school, and you can go to a 4-year university, but the only way that they will pay for the 4-year university is if that university offers associate degrees. And so then they will pay for the tuition at whatever the tuition cap is. They won't pay the room and board, but they'll pay the tuition for you to get an associate's degree. And the reason why it changed kind of my perception is because a lot of the schools that we would go to, they were schools where like the No Child Left Behind, right? There were a lot of kids that were like, I can't afford it. Because I think that's the first kind of drawback to going to a 4-year degree versus the community college is definitely cost. And so a lot of people, looked at like, I can't afford it. So the Tennessee Promise was a way to kind of bridge that gap to give other people other options if they didn't have the grades or they didn't go to, they didn't play, a sport to get a scholarship or whatever, and financially able to afford it. Because I mean, a lot of people graduate college in debt, but a lot of people go to trade school and they don't have that same issue, primarily because the cost is different. So if someone's trying to decide whether they want to go to, first of all, they're trying to decide what they want to do in life. Let's start there. I think, some people choose to come out of college come out of high school and take a break. Yep. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that. Like, you just have to know that you're a very structured person to do that. I think it's really easy for your break to last the rest of your life. Like, it's really easy to do that. And so I'll give you what my experience was versus what my sister's experience. So for me, I did go to college for 4 years, but I also had a full academic scholarship. Okay. And then I did ROTC on top of that. So, so finances wasn't an issue for me. So I got out of school, went straight, into the military, and as a second lieutenant, I was probably making about $41,000-ish a year when you get to all of your pay and benefits or whatever. Now, my sister, she graduated high school. She went to a community college and took all like her prerequisites, all of like the basic maths and all that stuff that you need. And then she went to nursing school and took her nursing classes, and she came out of school in about 3 years, making almost the same exact money that I was making, with not necessarily the same amount of responsibilities or risk, I would say, that's probably a better word, than I had. So we were two, totally different types of students, but, we basically both came out with the same kind of outcome, if you will. But I think what is really important is to really sit down and look at the job forecast. Right. So there's a lot of websites out there with the forecast, like the job forecasting. And I think it was my maybe business teacher when I was in high school that printed it out for everybody and was like, okay, if you think you know what you want to do, here's the forecast for this job. This job is going to be obsolete 10 years from now. These jobs are going to be growing. So think about what your skill sets are, or, what you want to do, and then find your job or the job you think you want on this, and then we'll find a path. And so I thought that was beneficial, but I feel like, that's kind of what school is missing. Exactly. Is true counselors, like, and not to the fault of the counselors. I mean, just to the system that they've gotten so much into testing, that I think they've gotten away from the life skills that people need. There's certain habits and routines that people need to develop to be successful in whatever they go, whether they choose a 4-year or a trade school. There's certain just kind of life skills, right? Like that you kind of need, that I think is taken away. But I'm definitely with you on the military piece. I always tell people, not that I'm a recruiter, but because I worked at the MEPS and I worked with the education support specialist, I would go out to these schools all the time. And one of the things that I like about the ASVAB is that the ASVAB shows you where your strengths are. So when you take the test and you have, all these different skills and your basic math and all that stuff, it shows you where your skills are. And if the school allows the education support specialist to come in to do a class, they basically can go in the system, put your scores in the system, and then spit out like a profile for you to tell you based off of your ASVAB what jobs would benefit you or what jobs will be well suited for your skills, right? See, again, it's a lot of things that people don't know. They just think, oh my God, the military, they're trying to get me to go in the military. But just because your education support specialist comes from the MEPS to your school, it doesn't mean that you have to go to the military. Yes, she is coming from the MEPS, which is obviously military recruitment, but it's a benefit. It's a program that you can see, because not only does it match you for jobs within the military, but then it also matches you with jobs. And I used to tell kids all the time when they would come through the MEPS, like, hey, you need to be thinking about not just today, but you need to be thinking about, 4 or 6 years from now. So don't pick a job like that. I think they would come in like, I want to, do EOD. I'm like, that's fine. But when you get tired of the military, because you will, what you gonna do with that? So I'm like, hey, if the military is gonna send you to be a truck driver, get those CDLs, get those forklifts, get the HVAC, get those trade certificates that are like lucrative. Go into CE. I did some research and they said that a construction manager on average, and so again, a trade school, on average, a construction manager comes out of trade school making $95,000 a year.
95 straight out.
$95,000 a year, but nobody talks about that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody talks about being a doctor or a lawyer, and that's fine. But I will tell you, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and the reason why I did not go that route, because on the average, if you take the median, so not the average, if you take the median of lawyers, the median amount for lawyers is like $50,000 a year. That's a lot of school to go to for $50,000 a year. Of course, if you take the average, it seems higher than that, but that's because you have your Johnny Cochran's, God rest his soul. Yes, so that's way different. You have entertainment lawyers, but if you look at a criminal lawyer, the average is about $50,000 a year, and that's actually on the high end.
So, and man, shout out to Bird, man. She always got them facts and everything, man. Hey, look, y'all need to know anything. Holla at Bird. You know what I'm talking about? Hey, so I mean, to kind of piggyback off of what you said. Now, the thing is with me versus my brother is, okay, when I got out, I was like, hey, I'm going to ECU. I'm going to East Carolina University because I'm going in there and I'm going to play basketball.
Don't we all?
Now, let me tell y'all something. I got out there on that basketball court with the basketball players. I was the smallest thing out there. When I say the smallest thing out there, short, size, everything. These dudes was huge. And I'm looking around like, okay, yeah, so I need to rethink things. And the thing is, I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to college. It was just kind of, I knew I like IT. I love messing with computers. I love tinkering with computers and stuff like that. But then criminal justice sounds cool. And what are you going to school for? Criminal justice. All right, yeah, I like the sound of that. But now, you know what? So, but hold on now. I'm tired of criminal justice, business administration. Now that, man, I'm in business. That sounds good. Well,
what you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm gonna do with. Okay, IT it is. Well, then by that time, now I done did all that. That started wasting my folks' money. And by that time, I was honestly, I was drained, and I'm just keep it real. Like, I was drained, so I stopped going to school. I was wasting money, like, for real. All I did was hit the clubs. That's seriously, that's it. Like, that's all I did was hit the club. So I wasted time. So I got a job at AT&T. Now, I was young. Only thing I had to pay for was my apartment. My parents gave me the car, so only thing I had to pay for was apartment. I was making like $1,500 a paycheck. So like every 2 weeks working there. So I'm like, oh, this is a breeze. Like, this is what I'm gonna do. And then, like, I started meeting people within the company, and I remember meeting a data analysis, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, hey man, I see you always in suits that look cool. Like, what do I need to do to get to your level? And guess what he said? You need a degree. And I'm like, God knows, man.
Again.
Like, are you serious? Like, this is what I need to get to that level. Now, we'll talk about the degree part later, but let me keep going the story. So I was like, okay, I have to get a degree, because I want to be in suits. I want to be dressed up, and I want to be walking around like, I'm that dude. So I knew if I was going to go back to school, I couldn't go back to East Carolina. I was going to have to do something else. So it was the military. And I made a phone call overnight, got the voicemail. Recruiter called me back the very next day. I went in, and he told me, he was like, hey man, you like IT? I was like, yeah. He was like, okay, cool. Well, as an HVAC technician, you're going to do a lot of IT work. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know I knew heat and ventilation, air conditioning. I knew that part. I knew that the unit that sits outside the house. I knew that's what it was. I didn't know. Hey, put it this way. I needed Bird back then. Because the thing is, I needed the research. I didn't do any research. I was just like, cool. I'm cutting. I had dreads at the time. I'm cutting my dreads off. I'm going in the military. And I'm gonna be doing IT stuff in HVAC. Now, granted, you can do IT and HVAC. It's called controls, but you touching that is more so of a contracting work,
right?
So, okay, I leave. I do my thing. Cool. I'm in the military. Find out what HVAC really is. Now, the thing is, as I got into the military, I started learning. Of course, you get the discipline and all that good stuff. But you start learning and you kind of start finding your avenue, and then you start networking, which is very key. Networking is huge when it comes to jobs, period. I don't care where you work at. Networking, and I'm going to be honest with you, networking would get you further than having a degree. And I can promise you that because I've seen that. So with that being said, I was just like, all right, cool. I'm going to start meeting these different people and finding out what lane I need to take, because this is not cutting it for me. So while I did my 8 years in the military, I learned HVAC, I learned construction, I learned plumbing, I learned electrical, I learned they call them dirt boys, but like your dump trucks, CDLs, all that good stuff, and also security forces. So that's like your police officers. I did all of that while I was in. Now that's one thing about civil engineers, which that's what my title was. Being a civil engineer, you gonna dabble in all that stuff. Like that's just how it is in the military. But on the outside of things, if I really wanted to say, well, cool, I'm gonna go work for this construction company, I'm gonna drive dump trucks. They look at my resume, they be like, well, oh, you did that in the military. That's a plus. HVAC technicians, I get people to walk into my job right now and they be like, oh, what did you do in the military? I see you got military, veteran on your name tag. What did you do? Oh, I was HVAC tech. Hold on, what? Excuse me? Oh, I was HVAC technician. How long did you do it for? Oh, 8 years. Are they paying you good here?
Yeah.
They pay me good here. I'm sure I can match it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I appreciate it, but I don't like HVAC, and I don't. And I tell people all the time, I really don't care for HVAC at all. I wish I did. I really do, because I would definitely be doing it on the outside. But that's just not my thing. IT is. So you have that. Now, when it comes to my brother, he's in the community college. He graduates in May in IT. No switching back and forth or anything like that. He's doing an internship. I didn't do any of that. But at the same time, my brother, he wouldn't be able to do the military. Like he can't do military. I could, at least I thought I could. Thought I was gonna do 20, but 8 years was enough. So it was just it's the difference between night and day. Not everybody can go into the military, even though a lot of y'all need to go into the military because y'all need that discipline.
At least 4 years. I'm telling, like 2 years at minimum. I mean, they do it in the UK, and I don't think it's a bad idea. Like,
it's not.
You learn life real quick.
It's not, because the thing is, you will find, and not to be, what I'm saying, just talking about the military, but seriously, you will find another side of you that you didn't know about, especially in basic training. That's a whole, we could do a whole podcast just on basic training alone, but I mean, you really will. And then, like I said, you'll network, you'll meet people. So, I tell people, if you really don't know what you want to do and you just kind of want to travel, because some people, not everybody going to the military saying, oh, I want to go fight for my country. Some people want to get an education. Some people want to travel. Some people want a job. Some people want security, stability, and that's fine. That's not a problem at all. But if you can handle the military, which anybody nowadays, it's not like it used to be, you can do what you need to do and do 4 years. But even if you say what?
I said, it ain't for everybody.
It ain't for everybody. It's really not for everybody. But a lot of people that don't think, well, I ain't gonna sit there and just let somebody tell me what to do and this and that, blah, blah, blah. That's what I hear a lot of. And no, ain't nobody, we just be talking to me.
Where you go.
Yeah, they ain't gonna be sitting there all in my face, this and that, blah, 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 blah. I mean, some people need that structure. Some people need
it's a brief time, right? So the all up in your face stuff or whatever.
It's brief. It's super brief.
Once you get out of basic training, you're a human, right?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
that you weren't a human when you're in basic training, but you're
yeah.
you're a human when
You
you
are.
come out of basic training, and it's not all of the. I mean, the reality is, unless you own your own business, you got to answer to somebody. And even when
That
you
is.
do own your own business, you're still answering to somebody. It's called, the government, when you got to pay your taxes and all the other rules that come, even with owning your own business. So you're not, totally free.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, for most people, you're going to answer to somebody. And to me, the military is no different. Now, there's a lot of benefits, but there's also a lot of sacrifice. And so, and
Yeah,
I think that's what a lot of people, especially people who want to have families,
yeah.
and so that's why one of the things the military has done is, especially for females, is kind of offer them like a 3-year hiatus, if you will. Like they can get out, they can have a kid,
Okay.
and they can stay out for 3 years, raise their kid, and then come back in, and then they come back in at like where they left off, and they pick back up. And it was a way to try to, because a lot of females get
Mm-hmm.
out between the 6 and 10 year mark, because they want to have a family, and they don't want to have a baby and then deploy 6 months later or
Facts.
12 months later. So that was kind of a program that the military put in place, to try to keep people in, because we were losing people,
Mm-hmm.
left and right. But so that was just a program. But I agree with you. If you really don't know, I mean, it's 4 years. Now on the officer side of things, I mean, if you do go to college and you go to military, it's more than 4 years. I mean, you can get out. This just depends on what your career field. It's a little harder
Mm-hmm.
to get out once you become an officer. But for people who do enlist, I mean, it is an opportunity to either go to school, because you will get a GI Bill, and you'll get tuition assistance while you're in, so you can either use it to go to school, or to just learn a trade that you
Yep.
can then use on the outside, because that's one of the biggest factors, as I mentioned before, is cost. So when you look at, I mean, the average school these days is close to like 40 grand for 4 years. It's close to 40 grand. And that's on the low end, like
Yeah.
really low end. It's close to like 4 grand,
It's a car
40
payment.
grand, I'm sorry, 40 grand and higher. And again, 40 grand is if you go to kind of one of those middle tier schools. If you're going to those Ivy League schools, and then you decide, you want to get your master's or your doctorate. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people that come out of school and they're already in debt. Like they're so far in debt, and they come out of school and they don't have the job to match the debt that they
Right.
just incurred.
Right.
And so that's why I think it's really important to not just go to school for business unless you know that the job that you want requires that type of degree. Or communications is another one. Okay, well, what are you going to do with communications, besides work at a phone company? Like, I'm not saying it's the only job you can get with communications. I'm just saying understand what you want to do and what the qualifications are for that, because you may can just go to a trade school to pick up broadcasting, if that's
Mm-hmm.
really more along the lines that what you want to do.
Right.
Um, you know, I don't know if I would have done anything differently, because I thoroughly enjoyed my experience at a HBCU. So I don't think I would trade that in for the world, because that was an amazing experience. But I will say that's another factor when you're trying to decide between a 4-year college versus a 2-year college. And one of those things is just experience. And then, the other thing, too, is, duration. Like how long do you want to be in school? Do you want to take the 2 years that it takes to get your trade and then you start making money sooner?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to be, go to school for 4 years? But I will say there are some community colleges out there, or some trade schools that offer the same type of lifestyle. Like, for instance, in High Point, so GTCC, Guilford Tech Community College,
Mm-hmm.
their High Point campus is actually a full campus. So it actually has dorms. and like a regular school. So I mean, like a regular school, like a 4-year school. So if you want the lifestyle of living on the campus, kind of leaving the house or whatever, but you still, only want to go to get what you need, your duration, then there are options. Because I will say, I mean, a lot of the classes that I took, I didn't need those for my degree. The college just said you have to have 120 credits for whatever the degree is. So you fill up your time, as opposed to when you go to, a trade school, you do your core basic reading, math, or whatever. And then you jump straight into that hands-on learning. And that sometimes is not what you experience in a 4-year degree. You don't really get that hands-on until you elevate to the next level of your master's or your doctorate. And so that's also a difference between the experience that you can get between a 4-year college versus a 2-year college. So I think the biggest takeaway is to try to figure out what you want to do. And I think sometimes that's the hardest thing. Like one of my younger sisters, I don't even know. I can't even count her major changes. I think she wanted to be a dermatologist. And this is before she even got to college. Thank goodness she changed her mind before she actually went. But in high school, she wanted to be a dermatologist. And so we were like, okay, cool, good. And then she said, well, I want to be an animator. Okay, so she went to community college because she knew a 4-year college that she couldn't wrap her head around that. That was too much for her. So she went to community college and she started taking animation classes. She lasted for like a semester, and then she decided she wanted to take a break. And so she's still on her break, and that was 3 years ago. And so now she's like, well, I want to go to culinary art school. And so we're like, look, nobody's going to keep paying for you to go to all these schools. Now here's the beautiful thing about all of it is the girl is uber talented, right? Like she can draw really, really well. So she could have been an animator. She has 3 books out right now on WhatsApp. She refused to get them published, but she's a brilliant writer. She writes science fiction. She can cook really, really well. She can take a recipe, and the girl is bad. She definitely has some really good cooking skills, really good baking skills, and because she's very artistic, she can decorate well. So even if she baked a cake and she needed to decorate, I mean, the girl has talent. So honestly, whatever she decided to do, once she figures it out, she's going to be successful, but it's getting her, to that point. So if that is if you find yourself in that, then I would definitely not suggest you go to a 4-year college, because you're going to cost yourself or somebody a lot of money, and it's only going up. The price of college is not going down. It's going up. So I really think, I know everybody's not like a research nerd like me, but just take the 10 minutes to Google. Like if you are good at something, like if you say, you know what, I really enjoy doing hair, because I used to enjoy doing hair. I used to do everybody's hair, but I think that burnt me out. And that's why I didn't go to cosmetology school, because I was like, I'm done. I'll do mine and somebody else's maybe. But if you know that's okay. Like hairstylists, they can make some crazy money. Like if you're good, you can make money. There's a lot of people that, move to the larger cities. I mean, all celebrities have a hairstylist. All of the rich and famous and whatever, they have hairstylists, and their cosmetologists make really good money. I mean, even if you live in a small city like Sumter, if you're good, you're going to make the money. So I think it's really diving into your talent and understanding what you're good at and what makes you happy. Because it's nothing worse than, in my opinion, going to a school, getting a degree, and then getting a job that you don't like, all because someone told you to do that. There's no reward for you. And you're not going to work as hard towards that, because there's no internal gratitude. So I really wish that schools would kind of get back to career mindedness, get back to like home ec. Like I think that was crazy for them to take home ec out of middle school and high school, because those are basic life skills. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't make the assumption that everybody's parents is teaching them how to separate clothes or is teaching them how to measure and make whatever it is.
Kool-Aid.
Yes, cool, like something simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
We let our kids, make their own. My, 12-year-old son, we taught him how to, make eggs. It
Right.
was simple, right?
Yeah.
How to do microwave grits. Let me show you. You add a little milk if you want them creamy, so they don't taste like instant grits. Like just little things like that. But every household's not like that. Some parents work 12 hours a day.
Right.
So when their kids are asleep when they go to work, and their kids are asleep by the time they come home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think that if the school isn't going to offer that, then somehow as a community, we need to figure it out, because I think that really a lot of people either don't go to school because no one's helped them decide what they want to do. So then they decide for themselves, well, I might as well go to this route and do, make the quick money. But we all know quick money, our money's not good money.
Yeah, that's facts.
And I think that's the gap, right? That's what we have to fill in. So before we can even decide a 4-year or a 2-year, I think there's definitely got to be some intervention before to kind of help kids figure it out. And then you build the path. And depending on what job you want, that path is going to either lead you to a 2-year or a 4-year school. And sometimes it may be you can go to the 2-year school, get all your kind of prerequisites out the way, and then transfer. Like if you feel like, hey, you know what, I think I want to go live the college life or whatever, you can transfer and you can go, and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that, the military, a 4-year or 2-year, like school necessarily in general is not, for everybody. But I think that if you don't do some type of trade when you graduate, like you're really kind of taking yourself out of the running, unless you kind of have a family, your family already has that wealth, right? You already have that generational wealth. Whatever your family has is going to be handed down to you, which most of us don't have that. So unless you have that, you have to have a plan, in my opinion, after high school, of something to get something in addition to what you have at high school, because it's really not a whole lot that you can do. I mean, unless you want to work in fast food for the rest of your life, and I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying you have to know your cap. You're capping yourself. You kind of you're restricting your growth potential, if you will, when based off the choices you make. So I've done fast food, so I'm knocking it. But you just have to understand kind of what your limitations are. But I think the intervention piece before is what we really have to establish before we even get to university versus a 2-year. But to me, it's the experience.
Yeah.
What experiences do you want to have?
I mean, and the thing is, like you said, hey, look, definitely not knocking, fast food. I mean, you think about it, you could work at a fast food spot, then you can become the manager. Then you can become the manager over the whole fast food spot. And then look, later on down the road, you can own the fast food spot.
Your own franchise.
I had a guy that came into my job and he was like, hey man, he was like, I wasn't supposed to show you this, but look at this. And he showed me like videos of each McDonald's. I was like, what's this? He was like, man, I own these. And I'm like, for real? So me, I started asking questions. You go to college? Okay. So how did you? Yeah, I used to work at one. And then I just kind of worked my way. Oh, okay then. So you
investment, he invested his time, right? It's still a cost.
Right.
That's my point. It's still a cost.
Yeah.
It's depending on which cost you want to take. He still did something.
Yeah.
Right. Invested his time. And I'll tell you right now, my time is worth more than any dollar that you can pay. So it's still a cost. So my, like I said, I'm not knocking, fast food. You just gotta have a plan.
Right.
You have to have a plan, because I'm sure that in his mind he was like, oh, okay, this $8 an hour or whatever it was when he started. Like, this ain't gonna get it.
Exactly.
I need to, and again, sometimes it's just having that somebody in your life that intervenes to say, hey man, hey chick, look, I'm glad you're right here, but let me mentor you. Let me grow you in this fast food industry. You don't have to be a cash register forever. You don't have to flip the burger forever. You can move up. But again, that's intervention. That's the networking, right? That you're
Right.
talking about. Your network can determine your net worth.
Hey, amen. You know what I'm talking about? And that's on who Mary had a little lamb. You know what I'm talking about? So look, the thing is it's a few things that I would say that, especially, high schoolers, or this goes for anybody, what you need to do. And one, like Bird said, I would sit down and draw out a plan. Look, this is my dream job, or this is the job that I really want. This is a job that I can see myself with. And I don't really care how extravagant it is, because don't let nobody tell you that, hey man, yeah, I know that, but yeah, you just ain't that person. Like, you wouldn't fit good there. Only you know what you want, out of life. So have that plan, write everything down. This is where I want to be. 2, find a mentor. Find somebody that can kind of guide you or help you, develop that plan and help you take the right path to where you want to be in life. Holla at Bird. She charged $150 an hour. You know what I'm talking about? She gets you.
Holla at me. I can help you.
But not seriously. That, like, right? You find somebody that is, not a yes man, or yes woman, but find somebody that is going to be like, okay, look, this is the steps that you might want to take. I have this experience in this, and this. This is probably the route that you might want to go, or this is what you're going to need. This is who you need to network with, in order to get where you need to go. Third thing is, fellas, if y'all some dancers, man, shoot, look, go out there to Chippendales, move out there to Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Get it going. It's lucrative. You know what I'm saying? I would have did it, but I got booed up and everything. So, but hey, look, fellas, you know what I mean? Hey, look, it's out there. It's look. All joking aside, it's so many opportunities. It's no right or wrong way to do it, as long as it's legal, of course. You got stocks, you got the market that you can get into. I mean, it's just so much that's going on right now. But the biggest thing is, you won't have to network. You won't have to find somebody. I don't care. Like, if you say, for instance, you're like, you know what? I kind of want to check out this whole stock thing. Well, cool. Do some research, like Bird. Do some research, find out what's going on the back end, but then find somebody that has been doing that for a while. And don't just go over here to, dude over across the street somewhere, and he don't really know what he's talking about, but it sounds good what he's talking about. So yeah, I'm gonna holler at him, see what he's talking. Find somebody that's in that. It's plenty of people out here that's doing what you want to do and has been doing it for years. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about what your friends gonna say, because you'll have your people in, that's supposedly in your corner, and they'll be like, nah, that's a stupid idea. I wouldn't do that. I do. Nah, do your thing. Like, don't worry about it. So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, college, trade school, military, you pick what's right for you. But
have a plan.
Make sure you have a plan.
And if you don't know what type of job you want to do, at least know the type of money you want to make.
Facts.
Because you can get there, right? So if your thing is, look, I want to live comfortably, and I want to make close to $100,000 a year. Okay, a radiation therapist, they make about $85,000 a year, or like a dental hygienist, they make about $76,000 a year, and these are figures that you can find. So if you just Google, right? I feel like we didn't even have Google like that, so we had to go to the library and search that. But just Google, like, okay, what jobs on average make X, whatever the X is that you want to make. Then when you find those jobs, then find things that interest you. Okay, now, and then look at the path. If you don't have that support at home, because again, not everybody does, find a teacher, find a friend's parent, maybe somebody.
Right.
You have to reach out, and then I think it's up to us, to the adults that understand that people are disadvantaged, to reach down and to kind of mentor those kids along, which is why I've done a lot of the programs that I have done. And that's why my ultimate dream job is really to be a life coach, because I think it's a gap. And so that is where, if we want to be great, we have to make the generations after us great, right?
Right.
To continue the success. So have a plan, find somebody, start basic, try to figure out what your strengths are, because I'm telling you, some of the people that I know that are in the game are smart as crap. Like they have the measuring skills, they're good at math, they can count money really well
without even counting it.
Okay. And you have a hustle mentality, right? Like your true bosses of the world are hustlers.
Yeah.
Because they have to network. They have to move and keep on moving and shaking to get to the top. Hollywood actors, most of the time, they weren't just on the street and somebody said, come. No, they had to audition and to work some of the probably the most demeaning jobs first and hustle their way to where they are now. There's very people that just had it, right? Everybody can't be Tony Braxton Discovery at a gas station singing, right? Everybody can't be that person. So just understand, and you may not get your dream job at 18 or at 30. But I think the point is that you work and you enjoy what you're doing. But you're having a plan and finding a mentor, I think is really important. And once you figure out what it is you want to do, then you look at your path and you see, okay, well, how do I get there? Does it take a 4-year college or does it take a 2-year college? Maybe you're not good at taking standardized tests. So maybe you go to the junior college, like I said before, get the grades. So now you have a GPA and then you transfer that GPA over to a 4-year college. So then you don't have that admission hurdle to kind of get over. So there's all types of things that you can, that you can do. You just have to know what you want and go for it. I say sky's the limit. If you shoot for the moon and the stars and you make it to the mountains, you're still on top.
That's facts. That's bars. You know what I'm talking about? But nah, and just to wrap things up, hey, look, even if you say, well, cool, the military is not for me, I do want to travel and I do want to learn a trade and I do want to make a lot of money. You also got contractors. There's a lot of contracting jobs out there as well that you can go into. There's a lot of companies. If you, like Bird said, just Google. Google is your best friend. Just Google and see, contracting. It's a ton of different things out there. IT, K9s, dog handling. It's a endless opportunity. So that's another thing for you guys too. Everybody can go out there. Military is not for everybody. So cool. You can still travel. You'll definitely get to travel and you'll definitely learn to trade. And I promise you're going to make some good money.
Indeed.
Thanks. So
the word of the day.
I think we gave y'all enough advice for today, without charging y'all, because there's some good stuff here. Especially the Bird over there, she getting y'all all the facts and everything.
Network makes your net.
That's right. Network makes your net work. And that's it. Bird, you got anything else for the folks?
Nothing else. Be easy. Shoot for the stars, the moon and the stars.
That's right. And look, you know me, I got to leave y'all with a little something. You know what I'm saying? So look, when you making Kool-Aid, don't just do the red flavor and then put your sugar in there and then you say, oh, I got some Kool-Aid. That's not how it works. You want to take the red, you want to take the grape, you want to take the orange, you want to take the lemonade, mix it all together. You know what I'm saying? And then I need you to put at least about 5 to 10 scoops of sugar in there and stir it up just a little bit. If the sugar is down at the bottom and you can see it, you got yourself some grade A Kool-Aid.
And a toothache.
Yeah, you probably got that too. And diabetes and everything else too. But, that's it. We out of here.
Clown.